All right, welcome. And my name is Mike Bynum. I am the lead on the Defense Innovation Accelerator for this year's program. All right, so let's talk about how we got here. So what we did is we reviewed over 400 pieces of technology across the Department of Defense, and we selected 22 of those technologies to bring into our program this year. While recruiting these technologies, we put together 22 teams of entrepreneurs that aspire to be startup founders. We took those entrepreneurs along with the inventions and the inventor and put them through a 16-week program. Along with that program came a coach, mentors, and access to advisors and additional curriculum to help them reach their goal. So today, we are going to have 6 companies on showcase. The top 6 from the 22 present, and we will go through a live Q&A to ultimately get to 2 winners at the end of today's exercise. I'd like to give you a little bit of data that represents our cohort. We're representing 22 states across the country. 30% of our participants are veterans. 4 out of 6 of the finalist teams have female co-founders, and we couldn't have got this done without the labs that decided to let the inventor and the technology participate. So 10 DoD labs and federally funded research and development centers. So thank you to them for participating in this year's program. So I'm proud to present the 6 teams that are the finalists for today's pitch showcase. Fireflight, Mjolnir Technologies, Galeson Technologies, Monolithium, Protocom, and LV. Congratulations to the teams and good luck in today's pitch competition. All right, so I'm excited to bring on our keynote speaker, Congressman Jerry Connolly, who represents the 11th District of Virginia. Congressman Connolly, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mike. Good to be with you.
Thank you.
Shall I start?
Yes, sir. The floor is yours.
So thank you so much for inviting me today. And I'm so excited by this competition and this process. I first got involved in the whole issue of commercialization of technology, especially at the federal laboratories, when I was the head of the Washington office for the Stanford Research Institute, SRI. SRI was founded by a bunch of scientists at Stanford University back in the 1940s, but it licenses technology, establishes public-private partnerships, and had a lot of experience in commercializing technology with the labs. And I think that sounds familiar to everyone here today. And I looked at various technologies as we were coming out of the Cold War that were declassified and we were able to commercialize. For example, we did a lot of work in those days, classified work for the Navy on noise cancellation. But the commercial applicability of that technology was very evident, especially in the automotive industry. And of course, we were able successfully to do that. My time in Congress has only underscored the importance of all of that. We've seen, now this didn't come out of the labs, it came out of DARPA, but 2 entirely federally funded research projects. DARPANet, also known as ARPANET, became the internet, and of course GPS. And actually there's a third one, the Human Genome Mapping Project. All 3 are 100% federally funded, and all 3 have led to incredible transformation in lives across the globe. Hard to imagine living without the internet, for example. So there's enormous potential and power. One of the key things that you're doing that I think is so important is, there's a gap between basic research at the lab bench and somebody's ability to see the potential of that research in the commercial sector. And often those are 2 different people. Often it requires an interpreter who knows the science, but also knows the marketplace. And those are often not the same people. And so trying to make sure we have sort of a path, a translation path for technology is very important. And it becomes even more important as we look to the future. While the Chinese are doubling down on their research and development programs, unfortunately at the federal government, we're not. If budgets reflect values, we have diminished the value of R&D in America. Last year, federal spending on R&D was about $157 billion. And the president's budget this year would increase that to $171 billion. And that's welcome. However, if you look at federal spending on R&D as a percentage of our GDP, it's dropped by more than 40% since 1980 and 65% from 1964, when it was 2% of total GDP. That's not a trend line that's going to keep America competitive. And it's certainly not a trend line that's going to make sure we're number 1 in both basic, applied, and developed research. The federal government dominates basic research and always has in terms of what we do in the science sphere. But applied research is pretty much in the private sector and nonprofit sector, where understandably the applicability of the basic research being done is examined and made real. So I think the United States has to have a renaissance in R&D. Maybe we need some kind of moonshot. When John Kennedy said, we're going to put a man on the moon by the end of the 1960s, by the end of the decade, in many ways, what he was really announcing was an organizing principle. Around that very visible goal, a huge scientific apparatus with lots of new research and development dollars and resources and scientists got created that led to all kinds of other innovations and technologies that we're still benefiting from. And so looking for those opportunities, rededicating ourselves to those goals is really important. And I believe that there's enormous potential. I mentioned that the budget is roughly $157 billion for federal R&D, and yet the commercialization from our labs and other federal entities is worth about $3.5 billion a year. So the return on the investment is something like 20 to 1. If you get that kind of return on investment, it's worth doubling down on that investment and doing a lot more of it. And my hope is that over time, we will do that. So thank you all so much for having me here today. Thank you for participating in this competition. There are a number of us in the Congress, who understand this subject and are going to be your advocates. So have at it. And I know everyone's a winner today. I say that as a politician only would, right? But I think that's really true. Good luck with the competition. Mike, thank you so much for having me here today.
Congressman, we appreciate your thoughts and really your early efforts in the technology transfer space. We hope that we can take that torch from you and keep it going. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Thank you for coming out. All right, so next up, I'd like to welcome Dr. Gregory Bernard. Dr. Bernard is the Acting Director of the National Security Innovation Network. Dr. Bernard, welcome to the showcase.
Thank you, Mike. Really pleased to be here. And on behalf of the National Security Innovation Network, I want to welcome all of you to the Defense Innovation Accelerator Cohort Showcase. I want to thank Congressman Connolly for taking the time to speak with us today. The work we do is mission critical for defense innovation and ultimately our national security. We appreciate you joining us, Congressman, to learn more about NSIN and the incredible work of each of these entrepreneurs and the great partnerships that they've formed with the DoD labs. NSIN programs in our acceleration portfolio focus on finding, and in some cases, spurring the creation of dual-use ventures to solve problems and address capability gaps in the Department of Defense. Several of our programs begin with a recognition that we don't always need to reinvent the wheel. There exist technologies that have already been invented and tested, either in the commercial sector or in academic and government laboratories. In the case of DIA, we start with technologies that exist inside of DoD labs, and we pair them with aspiring entrepreneurs. The model of the DIA program reduces barriers to entry in entrepreneurship, leverages existing R&D activities, and allows for new voices to shape the future of technology and its impact on the warfighter. And that really is NSIN's mission in a nutshell: building a network of innovators, connecting people to a common purpose to generate solutions to national security problems. In this 2021 DIA program cohort, entrepreneurs explored tech verticals, including exoskeletons, 3D printing, artificial intelligence, lithium-ion battery, and medical technologies. It's important to note that this program is intensive, to say the least. It is a compressed amount of time, and there's a significant amount of work required to accomplish the great things that they've done. This program is not possible without the partnerships and cooperation of our defense labs and FFRDC partners, whom I want to take a second and acknowledge. The Air Force Research Lab Materials and Manufacturing Directorate, the Aerospace Corporation, the Army Research Lab, the Navy Research Lab, the Naval Information Warfare Center Pacific, the Naval Surface Warfare Centers Carter Rock and Crane, the Naval Undersea Warfare Center Keyport, the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard and Intermediate Maintenance Facility, and the MIT Lincoln Labs. Thanks also to our NSIN Acceleration Portfolio Director, Abigail Desjardins, and our DIA Program Manager, Mark Antholt, for their outstanding work on this. Our partnership with FedTech really powers the DIA program. The track record of success between NSIN and FedTech includes companies, licensed technology, and exposure to additional funding opportunities. Today, as we hear from the top 6 teams of the 2021 cohort pitching their projects to potential investors, partners, and fellow entrepreneurs, I want you to keep in mind, we are witnessing just a glimpse of the good things yet to come. If 2020 was any indication, I expect each of our final teams to continue to achieve remarkable results. Thank you all so much for your time and participation today. And like you, I am very excited to see what they have in store for us. Thank you very much, Mike.
All right, Dr. Bernard, I appreciate you coming on, and I hope we put on a great show for you. So sit back and enjoy.